Hey, long time no see, huh?
A man called out from behind, and it turned out to be my ex-husband. I never wanted to meet him again, especially not here.
I heard you're getting welfare.
My ex-husband said with a smirk, his new wife mocking me by his side. I decided to share a certain truth with these two. Who do you think you're mistaking me for? My name is Maggie, a 35-year-old housewife. I've been married to Brian for 7 years. We met at work. After graduating from college, I landed a job as an office worker at a corporation, and Brian was a salesman there. We were in different departments, so we didn't interact much, but Brian would sometimes come to my department for work. We knew each other by face from occasional greetings. The moment we got closer was when I happened to go out drinking with a friend. Brian and some coworkers sat at the next table.
Oh, aren't you from the office?
He recognized me and struck up a conversation. I responded with a greeting, and we ended up joining tables and drinking together. That night, talking with him, we got along well. We exchanged phone numbers and started messaging regularly. Eventually, he started inviting me out for drinks and meals after work, and even for dates on weekends. I was impressed by his sincere approach and agreed to go out with him. He always tried to make our dates enjoyable, which made me trust him. After a while, he confessed his feelings, and we started dating. He always treated me well, making me happy. About 1.5 years into our relationship, he proposed.
I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Maggie. Will you marry me?
Yes, I look forward to it. Thus, we decided to get married. However, I had a secret about my family background. My family lived in the capital region, not DC. I had moved to Boston for university. My father was actually a CEO and a landowner doing real estate investments, making us quite wealthy. Because of my father's status, many people approached me with business proposals, some even trying to use me to get closer to him. Despite our wealth, my father lived modestly, but people knew about his business, making it obvious we were affluent. At school, some people tried to befriend me, hoping for some benefit, motivated by greed. But I was not spoiled by my father. I was given a normal allowance, and that gave me a good sense of money. Despite this, people who knew about my wealthy background would approach me, hoping to benefit from it someday. Tired of such experiences, I decided to go to university in Boston. Living in Boston, I enjoyed friendships without mentioning my family background. Everyone treated me as a normal person, making it difficult to talk about my family. I decided not to tell Brian about it. I trusted him, especially since he proposed without knowing about my family. I didn't want to see his attitude change by revealing my family's wealth. I thought it would be okay to share it later in our marriage, believing that learning about the wealth later would still be a happy surprise. We visited each other's parents, who approved of our marriage. My in-laws liked me, and we prepared for the wedding without inviting many people from my hometown, keeping my family background a secret. After getting married, Brian wanted me to stay at home. But what if we have children? Won't we struggle financially? He reassured me that he would provide for us as the head of the family. I was touched by his words and felt secure becoming a housewife. I dedicated myself to supporting him through household chores, taking pride in my cooking and cleaning. Brian appreciated my efforts, saying it motivated him at work. He continued to treat me well, taking me to various places on weekends, creating many memories together. 3 years into our marriage, I became pregnant. We had wanted children early on, and the news brought us immense joy. Brian was thrilled about the pregnancy, promising to work harder. I believed we would remain a happy family no matter what, and I safely gave birth to a baby. A healthy baby girl was born. However, after the birth of our daughter, changes began to appear in our relationship.
Ugh, it smells.
Well, that can't be helped. It's because of our baby, and she needs to poop.
Change her diaper quickly. It's so smelly, it's making me sick.
Saying that, my husband quickly left the scene. Whenever the baby cries at night, he gets in a bad mood and orders me to stop her from crying quickly. I don't think it's right for him to order me around just because I'm a stay-at-home mom. Moreover, he's always angry the morning after our child cries at night.
I need to recover my energy for work. Why should my sleep be disturbed? It's your fault for not disciplining the baby properly.
But It's normal for babies to cry at night.
Don't just dismiss everything as unavoidable. I think you're being too easy on yourself.
He blamed me for everything. I was upset about why I had to be blamed like this. After that, he started to increase his drinking and overtime. As a result, he came home later and later, and I spent anxious days all on my own. Even if he was cool to me, having another adult around when raising a small child is appreciated, but it felt like he was avoiding parenting, coming home later and later. I raised our daughter alone, and thankfully, she became very attached to me. At 4 years old, she started learning various things in kindergarten and would happily tell me about her day. I looked forward to her stories every day, finding happiness in them. However, I was troubled by my relationship with my husband. He continued to come home late and hardly interacted with me or our daughter. Hearing from other moms about family trips or kindergarten visits made me envious, as my husband's behavior meant we were stuck at home or just the two of us going out. I felt sorry for our daughter, so I told my husband I wanted us to go out as a family and make memories like the other moms. But he said,
I'm tired from work. Don't be selfish when you're being supported by me.
So he did nothing, and an awkward atmosphere developed between us. Is this really okay? I wished to improve our relationship for our daughter's sake, to be good parents. But then my husband did something unforgivable. One night around midnight, he brought home a woman. I was still awake, shocked to see this young woman. Who might this be?
This is my lover, Sarah.
What? I was speechless. My husband brought home his mistress. What do you mean by this? What kind of nerve do you have bringing a mistress home?
I've wanted to end things with you. I'm divorcing you so that I can remarry her.
Don't joke about divorce all of a sudden. What about our daughter?
You take care of her. I'm starting a new life with Sarah.
How can you just show up like this and expect me to agree with your nonsense? I was incredibly disappointed with my husband, but I couldn't just let him do this to me. Reluctantly, I let my husband and his mistress into the living room to talk. Our daughter is sleeping, so please keep your voices down. If you have any consideration, you wouldn't want to expose a small child to how messy us adults are.
I don't care either way, but I'll do as you say. Sarah, be quiet.
Sure, I'll sip it. Sarah the mistress was wearing incredibly flashy clothes. First of all, where did you two meet?
I met Sarah at the gentleman's club where she works.
The gentleman's club? Sarah, how old are you?
I'm 24.
She's 11 years younger than you.
Oh, that's all? I thought you were like 20 years older because you look so much older.
Sarah laughed at me, mocking. I quickly realized she was a terrible person, too. I understand. We'll separate, but you'll have to pay compensation and child support. At that, my husband shrugged.
Fine, I'll pay you. If I can get rid of an old hag like you and be with a cute girl instead, it's a great deal for me.
Fine, well, let's end this conversation here.
Yeah, I'll prepare the divorce papers, so just sign them and get out. I doubt you'll find a job anyway, having been just a housewife all this time. Don't blame me if you end up homeless.
Wow, what a miserable life. I wouldn't want to end up like you.
Laughing at me, my husband and his mistress left the house. After they left, I collapsed on the spot. Why did I have to be betrayed like this? I had worked hard on the household and parenting. I don't think I caused that much trouble for my husband. Yet, he insulted me, cheated on me, and abandoned me. I never thought I would be humiliated this much. Filled with indescribable anger, I quickly packed our things and left with my daughter. I went back to my parents' house, where they were outraged after hearing my story. My father asked if he should teach my husband a lesson, but I decided against it. I didn't want anything to do with that man anymore. I divorced my husband through a lawyer and demanded compensation from him and his mistress. I also demanded child support. My husband readily paid the compensation and promised to pay child support in installments every month. He must have wanted to divorce me quickly and remarry his mistress. I regretted getting involved with such a low man. I resolved to take even better care of my daughter, having taken her father away from her. Later, I started working at my father's company. Since I was back in my hometown, I decided to learn the business and eventually take over as president. My father, who had wanted me to take over all along, was very pleased when I started working at his company. I worked hard while raising my daughter with my parents. My daughter grew up healthy and started elementary school. She seemed to have made many friends and was doing well in her studies. With her consistently good grades, my father said,
"This child will be more successful than me or you, Maggie."
To make up for the fun we missed out on because of my husband, I took my daughter on various trips to LA, Florida, and even abroad. I wanted her to experience things she had missed out on. When my parents could come, the four of us went out and created many memories. When my daughter talked about our overseas trips at school, her classmates were amazed and envious. If I had continued living with my husband, I couldn't have given her these experiences. Continuing to work hard, I achieved great results. Though I hadn't intended to, somewhere deep down I wanted to prove my husband wrong. After working tirelessly, 4 years after joining my father's company, it was decided I would take over as president. My father had long wished to live abroad with my mother and wanted to hand over the presidency to go overseas. So we set up an overseas branch and my father became a director there. I worked hard as a CEO to increase the company's profits. With a female perspective, I could bring new ideas, changing the corporate image and succeeding in new ventures targeting female customers. The headquarters of the new businesses was in New York, and I traveled between my hometown and New York for work. Mostly I worked from my hometown, interacting remotely with the New York office's executives, and visited New York once or twice a month. I brought my daughter along and enjoyed sightseeing in New York after work. One day, while sightseeing in New York, my daughter needed to use the restroom, so I waited for her outside. Given it was a popular tourist spot, there was a long line for the restroom, so I had to wait a while. And during that time, someone called out to me.
"Hey, long time no see."
The man who spoke was my ex-husband. I never thought I'd meet the person I least wanted to see again here. "Brian."
"What are you doing here?"
"It's none of your business." Even though I responded coldly, my ex-husband looked at me curiously and continued talking with a laugh.
"I heard you're on welfare."
"What?"
"Being here, are you living like a beggar? Asking for money and food?"
Laughing, my ex-husband continued.
That's so lame. Poor kid.
His new wife mocked me as well. I was furious, but meeting them like this felt like some sort of fate.
"I'm really glad I divorced you. A woman on welfare? No thanks."
As my ex-husband and his mistress continued to insult me, I decided to tell them the truth. "Who do you think you're mistaking me for? I'm not on welfare. In fact, I probably earn much more than you."
"What?"
As I said this, my ex-husband's eyes widened, but he quickly returned to his annoying smirk.
"Nah, you're just bluffing. There's no way you earn more than me."
Laughing, my ex-husband was handed my business card by me. He and his mistress looked shocked as they read it.
"What? You mean you work at this major company? You're an executive director, as in the president?"
Hey, isn't this other company the one that's been selling that amazing high-end skincare product recently? I've been wanting to try their moisturizer.
"How come you're the president of such an incredible company?"
My ex-husband asked, excited. Well, it was originally my father's company.
"What? But your family seemed so ordinary."
Yes, we tried to keep our background as hidden as possible. Being known as wealthy can be troublesome. That's why I never told you while we were married. It made the divorce smoother, thankfully. Now, including the success of our new ventures, my assets have exceeded 10 million.
10 million?
My ex-husband and his mistress looked like they were about to faint.
"Why didn't you tell me? If I had known, I wouldn't have gotten involved with her."
What do you mean by that?
"Because you don't do any housework, and the amount you spend, do you know how much you made me buy in branded goods just today?"
And that's the only good thing about you. You should be grateful you have a young and beautiful wife like me.
Suddenly, my ex-husband and his mistress started arguing. "You're drawing a lot of attention here, just so you know." After I said that, they left the scene after being flustered. Later, I received a message from my ex-husband. He said he had divorced his mistress and wanted to get back together. I was astounded at his selfishness and delusion, thinking such a thing was even possible. I ignored his message and reported his harassment to his workplace. His actions became a significant issue, considering I'm the president of a major company and he was demoted to a dead-end department with no prospects for any promotion. It felt deserved that he got a taste of his own medicine after all the freedom he had taken away from me. Meanwhile, I continued to work hard at managing the business, and my daughter is growing up healthily. I look forward to enjoying more happy days together and leading a fulfilling life with her.